The Fact Today, only on ATN.
Hello, very good evening to you, and thank you for joining us on Atlantic Television Network. The program is ATN Press Roundtable. A very beautiful evening to you. Press Roundtable is a convergence of media practitioners who dissect news and current affairs to provide the right balance. So this beautiful evening on today's Press Roundtable, we'll be looking at jailbreak. First of all, how 118 inmates escape as rainstorm destroys Niger prison. That's in Suleja. And now coming from insecurity, we have bandits attack palace, emir wastes away. And in the aviation sector, we see how flight engineers saved us from disaster, says Joe Alba. And then on politics, we have protesters storm APC secretariat, demand Ganduje's resignation. Then after this this quick break right now, I'm going to introduce my guest for this evening. Just stay tuned and enjoy.
From the lines across the ocean to the land.
All right, we're glad to have you back on Press Roundtable on Atlantic Television Network. So this evening, I am pleased to welcome on board Bill Cosby Jones. He is a media practitioner, he's a journalist, and of course, he's right here. I'm just so glad to have you on the show, sir.
Welcome. Glad I'm here.
Honestly, I'm so glad to have you, you know, buddy. I think it's the second time. No, the very first time, of course, you know, having this chit-chat with you.
Yes.
This is just the very first time.
I'm glad we're
honestly,
here.
I'm so pleased to welcome you.
Thank you very much.
All right, my name is Angel Wokoma, known as Angelic Angel. First of all, let's look at what is happening at Suleja, that's in Niger State, about the prison jailbreak. A downpour on Wednesday night has wreaked havoc on the medium security custodial center in Suleja, Niger State, resulting in extensive damage to the facility and facilitating the escape of 118 inmates. This was disclosed in a statement signed by the spokesperson, Federal Capital Territory Command of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Adamu Duza, on Thursday. Duza noted that the downpour caused severe damage to the custodial center's infrastructure, as you can see on that television, including a breach in the perimeter fence, which allowed the inmates to flee. In response, the NCOS swiftly activated its recapturing protocols, collaborating with other security agencies to recover 10 of the escaped inmates. Efforts to recapture the remaining fleeing inmates are said to be ongoing. Now, recognizing the vulnerability of aging facilities, many of which were built during the colonial era, Duza acknowledged that the NCOS was committed to modernizing its infrastructure. The statement further noted that the Controller of Corrections, FCT Command Francis John, assured the public that the situation was under control and urged them to carry on with their daily activities without fear. The public was encouraged to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activities or sightings of escaped inmates to the nearest security agency. Now, the statement read in part: a heavy downpour that lasted for several hours on the night of Wednesday, April 24, 2024 has wreaked havoc on the medium security custodial center, Suleja, Niger State. as well as surrounding buildings, destroying parts of the custodial facility, including its perimeter fence, giving way to the escape of 108 inmates of the facility. The service has immediately activated its recapturing mechanisms and in conjunction with sister security agencies has so far recaptured 10 fleeing inmates and taken custody into all of them, while we are in hot pursuit to recapture the rest, he said. Now listen, the service is not unmindful of the fact that many of these facilities were built during the colonial era, that they are old and weak. The service is making frantic efforts to ensure that all aging facilities give way to modern ones. The Controller of Corrections FCT Command, Francis John, wishes to assure the public that the service is on top of the situation and that they should go about their normal businesses without fear or hindrance, the statement added. Now, as we can see, that work is actually ongoing there. We're talking about the jailbreak that happened recently. I know you must have noticed that a lot of inmates took to their heels and ran away. That's jailbreak. And now, if you now look at the totality of the circumstances surrounding their running away, they said is because of a downpour, right? Now you sit down to say, how will a government facility, that's a correctional facility, have such an infrastructure that will be so dilapidated that could easily be swept away by the rain, paving way for the inmate to run away? So what can you say about this? Because this is really a serious matter. Now, those inmates being unleashed now outside, they are going to really cause a lot of harms. Yes.
You know, when you started your narrative,
exactly,
I chuckled.
Wow.
The reason I did that is, I don't know how else you describe or define a third world country.
Honestly.
This prison was built in 1914. 1914. If you calculate from 1914 to, it's over 100 years old.
Exactly.
Not renovated, not rejuvenated, not reconstructed. I mean, it was just left to rot. And then there's been cracks. You know, for a building to last about 100 years and more, there should be wear and tear. It shows how bad or how badly we are retrogressing as a country. Correctional facilities in developing countries. And I hate to not bring Nigeria to the awkward reality that we're not a developing country. We're just a third world country. All right? Because stories like this paints us negatively in Committee of Friends, in Committee of Nations, in the eye of developing nations. And then we pride ourselves as giants of Africa, the most populous nation in the world, one of the most prosperous. And then news like this emanates from some parts of the country to jerk us back to reality. It's a shame, actually. That prison, especially the medium prison, was designed to cater for 250 inmates. But we had over 499 inmates packed like sardine, packed, in
a very bad structure.
More like a container. And then, we keep talking about things moving forward in the country. It's just an eyesore.
I think it's just a laughing. It's a laughing.
Do you know that there are agencies where you mention, and then people will go, oh well. It's a tradition.
Exactly.
The Nigerian Correctional Service. No matter the nomenclature, no matter how you change the name, you can't see. Listen, all right. There are certain words as a journalist that I can't use, but I'm vexed in the spirit. I'm angry because nothing seemed to have changed
at all. Even
with the name change, it has not changed the modus operandi. It has not changed the modus vivendi of how the prisons and some agencies are run in Nigeria. We seem to pay lip service to some of these agencies that define a nation. Correctional facilities are not places where you bring people to waste. correctional facilities should be a rehabilitation center. And you leave these correctional facilities to rot away for more than 100 years. We don't have new ones built. We don't have facilities that rehabilitate. They are supposed to go there and feel better, molded into better human beings when they come out. But they go there feeling, when they come out, they feel more like animals, and then exhibits that animalistic tendencies. It should get every well-meaning Nigerian angry.
Exactly. Because when you park them, a room or an infrastructure that is meant to contain 200 persons or 250 persons, and now storing, because it's just like storage, it's a storage. Jump parking them together, putting them like sardines, how will they feel? It's going to exacerbate their negative, whatever that brought them there.
Exactly. Now, that's my sentiment.
Exactly.
The thing is, you're taken to prison to serve several purposes. One is as a deterrent to others.
Exactly.
That's one.
Number one.
And then serve as punishment to whatever crime you have committed. Then the third one is to rehabilitate that person.
Exactly.
So we seem to have, contained the person and then given punishment to but what about the rehabilitation? Because this person will be reintegrated into the society. And then you do more damage than good, and then bring back a damaged good into the society. It becomes worse. And that's why oftentimes you see people who are released from prison do ×2, some of them do ×2 of what they were held before. And so what is the psychology of a man who was taken into custody to get rehabilitated? Rather, he's getting the worst treatment in his lifetime. They don't eat good food. They are treated like animals. They are chained. They are bounded. Come on.
And they call it a correctional facility. And I'm wondering how someone will come out and then have put up another personality other than what really sent him
Angel,
inside.
the thing is, if we are to go by what the standards are, when you go into a correctional facility, you are getting into a facility where you're going to be educated. In StarTimes, and I hate to use that phrase, I've read stories. I've seen people who go into, I've had brothers who, over the years, had gone into correctional facilities outside of the shores of Nigeria, and they came out better persons. They came out holders of degrees from facilities that they were held and then held down for a very long time. They came out with degrees. They came out with, better attitude, better, human relatability. But in Nigeria, the design is, the whole of the standard is designed to make you worse. You go into a correctional facility, you are supposed to go in.
That is what it appears. But it's not like that is the motive.
We have kept it so long that it's become a standard.
Exactly. So that it looks like I'm sending you inside, not just to punish you, not just to serve as a deterrent or to rehabilitate you, but to make you a very worse person. The worst
That's
of all.
what it seems.
That's what it seems.
That's what it's generating.
But that's not the intention.
No, that wasn't the intention.
At all.
But, we have misplacement of protocols.
Exactly. I
all right?
agree with you.
If you have a budget for correctional facilities yearly after every budget, the national budget, and then there are streamlined facilities and projects meant to better the lots of those who are incarcerated, those who are in the penitentiary. Now, at the end of the day, you have issues of corruption. Because I'm telling you wholeheartedly that, of course, news emanated that some of the prison inmates, in some prison, the news broke out, were underfed. And then some low quality food. And I'm telling you that that's not the intention of the Nigerian government. That wouldn't be the intention of Nigerian government. I think as journalists, we're not doing enough. There should be proper investigation, investigative journalism. Go from prison to prison. And I'm charging young journalists, and it wouldn't be surprised if I go into investigating. You go into prisons and look at, examine the food given to inmates. You will cry. You know, so because they are incarcerated doesn't take away their rights. They are still
human
citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so if you move them into this dehumanizing condition, when they make it up, for instance, those that escaped, do not be surprised that they will be easy prey for, you know, terrorist gangs to recruit, because they will treat them better, they will give them money. All right?
Yeah.
So they will feel that they are more loved than the Republic. So it is a conglomeration, it's a coming together of a lot of things. It's a coming together of things that we can control as a people. And so that's the point. We seem not to exert a lot of energy. We seem not to give ear to these dilapidating, this agencies that makes the core of a country, Nigeria. One is education. The next is, when you talk about people who commit crime and where they are kept, that should be an important side of life that we really need to take. Housing inmates in a building as old as 110 is not something that we should talk about. It's not something it's not something that we can conceive. It's not something that we can imagine.
That meant, in other words, the government has to take a huge part of the blame for allowing the inmates to run away. Not just allow, because it was just the circumstances, if not because of the rain that destroyed the place, and because the building is already weak.
The government cannot take part of the blame. Government should take the whole of the blame.
Yes, they have to take the whole of the blame, because
government should take the whole of the blame.
I've been opportune to visit a prison. Yeah, that was a few years ago. Yeah, we went to visit the inmates. We just went to pray for them, give them what we have, you know. But if you look at the condition of Nigerians Correctional Center, you will cry, you will weep. If you see the beans, the food they dish out for them, you will cry. You wouldn't want any of your relatives to step into the prison. Yes. So that's why they will come out. Once they come out, instead of them to be better person, everything will deteriorate.
I don't know if that has anything to do with psychology.
Yeah, it has. It has, because
where I'm going at is, you know, make them fear this place so that they won't commit a crime to come back. But it's not working.
No, it's not working.
It has made them worse. All right, so I feel that the federal government needs to do more.
I think there should be a body.
Agencies should be supervised.
Exactly.
These corporations, these agencies should be supervised. They should be scrutinized. They should be probed. All right? Where we have federal correctional facilities, where we have state correctional facilities, these seem to be like a conduit pipe used to siphon money.
Yes.
If you agree with me that the standard of meal given, if you agree with me that the standard of condition of living does not meet with the standard, and I agree with me that there are budgets made for each of these projects, then you should also agree with me that it should be probed. To whom much is given,
much is expected. All right, well, that's how much we can take on that. We've really seen the situation of Nigerian correctional facilities. It is called correctional facilities and centers, but it is not really living to that name, because if it is to correct, they will come out to be better persons, and then you wouldn't dehumanize them. You wouldn't treat them with disdain and levity as if they are not human beings. In as much as you want to correct them, in as much as you want them to be a better person, and you want to serve as a warning, as a deterrent to other persons who also want to perpetrate such crime, you should also treat them like citizens, like human beings, so that they will feel like human beings. When they come out, they will be better persons. Now, like you suggested, my colleague suggested that The agencies has to be supervised. They have to be probed. What are you doing? Are you going to from prison to prison, from state to state to supervise what is actually going on there? Because there is a need for you to supervise what is actually going on in your state. Even both the governor, the government, all the whole tiers of the government, there is a collective responsibility of the government for them to put heads and say, okay, let us visit these facilities and know how they are doing so that we will not experience jailbreak. Jailbreak is actually bad. We don't want to experience it anymore in Nigeria. Now let's move on to another story. Armed bandit, what happened in the north? Armed bandit have ambushed Zumi town, the headquarters of Zumi local government in Zamfara state, where they attacked the emir's palace in an attempt to kidnap the emir Alhaji Mohammed Bunu. A resident of Zumi, Malam Aminu Saleh, told our correspondent in a telephone interview that the bandits went straight to the palace of Emir and started shooting sporadically. But the Emir was whisked away by the security agents to Gusau. The source said that when the bandits could not succeed in abducting the Emir, they destroyed one of the transformers and a telecom's mast network booster. According to the source, the bandits killed 3 people who were kidnapped during the incident. It said the bandits who entered the town at about 11 p.m. on Wednesday also attacked the house of a former military administrator of Nasarawa State, Colonel Balamande, retired. In fact, he said, we, the residents of Zumi town, have witnessed a terrible situation from the bandits' attack. This is not the first time the bandits have entered Zumi town. It is not the second time. Similarly, the bandits had again Wednesday last night attacked Maru town, the headquarters of Maru local government council, where they killed 1 person and kidnapped 3 people in their invasion. A resident of Maru town who identified himself as Aminu Maru told our correspondent through telephone as well. Now, according to him, the bandits spent more than 2 hours operating in the town. Now, we are talking about insecurity, but I think it seems that this insecurity we are talking about is highly concentrated in the north. Should we say it's highly concentrated in the north? We'll listen to the stories coming from Abuja, how the bandits, how they destroyed a lot of things there. They abducted people. And then this is coming from Zamfara and his Emir's palace, where they went to abduct the man, although he was weeks away by other security agencies. Now, what do you think is the impact of all this insecurity in Nigeria? Is it really putting us in a good light? What actually is where are we heading to?
We are heading to destruction. That's where we're heading to. The truth of the matter is,
because
let me tell you, the truth of the matter is, when you stay in a country where you feel you are your own protection, what are the fundamentals of a human in a country? That you're protected, that you're fed, that you're giving facilities, basic amenities, health, education, and all, and you're not getting it. Above all, government might be, we will feel that government not doing enough. Yes, government not doing enough. When I am in a country and I'm not protected by that country, in a country where terrorists terrorize Nigerians, and then Nigerians cater for their own security in their land, it's more than a shame. If you look at it's more than shameful, rather. If you look at what's going on, it's more like we're having 2 leaders in a country. Terrorists controlling some local government in Nigeria, some local government in the northern part of Nigeria. It has stopped, it destroyed investment, foreign investment in Nigeria. It has destroyed our reputation as a country. I don't know how else that we want to look at this.
You know what? When we were talking about this insecurity some time ago, just like Jonathan talked about having state police, he talked about state police, that if there is no state police, that there is no security. And then the IGP now came up. We just want to, just suppose, what the situation. Now, the IGP now says that Nigeria is not really matured to have state police. Now, don't you think that state police is going to play a very important role in combating insecurity?
Angel, I'm going to be very blunt with you.
Okay, okay.
Insecurity is an organized crime.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's a profitable crime in Nigeria. It has been in the past 12 years profitable. I'm over mid-40 now. I was an adult when Nigeria sent troops to Sierra Leone as part of ECOMOG. I was a known adult when Nigeria sent troops to Liberia, and our soldiers returned gallantly. And you're telling me that Nigerian, have we lost our glory? That Nigerian soldiers cannot combat terrorists in our own land when we went out and returned victorious fighting in other lands? So you see a situation where insecurity in Nigeria had stepped up far above our organized security. A situation where it seems as though we have some collaborations with people in power. I don't know how. But a situation where a handful, a ragtag army, will defeat an organized Nigerian army, it is very, very hard to believe. Let's come to state police.
Okay, yes, okay.
Let's come to state police.
Exactly. Now, I want us to talk about
the reason why I want to draw in this thing into state police. I have at least traveled out of Nigeria, and then in some parts of Africa. In developed climes, security and fighting homeland security is the total prerogative of the Nigerian, of the police. All right? Okay. The army is to defend territory and your integrity. And now, when you have a Nigerian police totally confined to guarding VIPs, guiding supermarkets, guarding goods in the market, in supermarket, than guiding human beings, it becomes a very big problem.
Exactly.
If you look at that without taking proper account of what the rules of engagement should be, which is that the Nigerian police force should rise up to the occasion by government aiding them in making sure that their welfare is properly taken care of. I'll come to state police. That their welfare is properly taken care of. That people who are VIPs are also human. That VIPs are not as more important than the ordinary Nigerian. They are just a human. They are just humans like every other person, like you and I. That if you withdraw some of these police orderlies from VIPs, it will boost the Nigerian police force. And then the issue of state police have dragged on for months, have dragged on for years even. We talk about state police. How can we have a state police when we have had, or we have seen governors use the central police to intimidate the ordinary police?
Okay.
So I'm against not having a recoiled, not having a reviewed legislation to embrace state police and make it work. You tone down the powers of a state governor, you tone down the powers of those that will be at the helm of affairs, making sure that they are answerable to a central police, even when they are controlled by the states. That will work. But again, how empowered are the Nigerian police force to combat terrorism? Because that's the that's the bone of contention now. Terrorism. How effective?
What is happening in United States? They are operating on a 3 tiers of policing.
Yes.
The first one is the FBI. They have Interpol, and they also have another one, and that makes it easy for them to combat crime because it's really reduced as in put to the barest minimum there. Now, why I'm of the opinion of state security is handle something like misdemeanor. They will handle something like in theft, stealing, like assault, misdemeanor, less felony. Now we're not. You understand?
The crime we have.
Yeah. No. Now, so that the federal police will now combat the higher crime. We now combat something like terrorism. Although the army's their own work is already spelled out.
MJ, let me help you. The crime that we have now in Nigeria is organized crime.
Okay.
It has left the level of the Nigerian police. That's what I was trying to let you know.
Okay.
It has left the level of the Nigerian police. Like you mentioned in StarTimes, we have the FBI, we have the CIA.
Yeah.
What they do is they use intelligence to quell terrorism before it even takes off. I don't know if you understand.
Sure, of course.
Prevention of crime.
Good.
Not combating crime. They prevent the crime before it happens.
Yes.
In Nigeria, we have full-blown explosion of crime, of terrorism. It is here. It is manifesting already. So it will take an extra intellectual engineering, and then force to combat this. In Jonathan's era, we took delivery of Tucano jets. Where are the Tucano jets? We took delivery of, it was like stakeholders, people who know in the politics will tell you that was the bane of, that was what caused the arrest of Jonathan. Or when we tried to buy arms from the back door. And then, where are those arms? Why are we not deploying technology? Do we not have drones? Can't we buy drones? This is organized. This is organized crime, for God's sake. We have money to buy drones. We have trained hands overseas who know. Nigerians are very intelligent people. Why are we not deploying that intelligence?
No,
I don't want to overboil. I feel some way. Now, but I think the Nigerian government, if this is, like you said outrightly, we have an explosion. Yes, I agree with you. Now, what about deploying international bodies like, they know the agencies that really work there, what can really work in Nigeria, because now it is out of hand, because Nigeria cannot combat the rate of crime in Nigeria. Again, if you sought for foreign help, you get foreign help. But know this. Insecurity is brisk business. You know why?
Yeah, sure.
The terrorists are buying arms. The Nigerian the countries are buying arms. So if they quell insecurity in the country, how do you expect the terrorists to buy? Who would they terrorize with the arms they buy from you? So it's brisk business when you look at international communities to help you. They might do that on face value. But do they want to help you? $1 million question. Do I want to go out of business? We should ask ourselves questions. The powers to stop insecurity is inherent, is within us.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's within us. Let me tell you, we have community heads. We have people around us. We know who are the bad people. Now, yes, insecurity is a full-blown in Nigeria. To a point where we have mercenaries imported to do crime here. Oftentimes you hear that ISWAP. ISWAP was not a coinage of Nigeria. They are in Mali. They are in some other West African countries. These are terrorist organizations with ties with bigger mega terrorist organizations, like ISIS, like Al-Qaeda.
Like Al-Qaeda.
Properly trained soldiers, trained militias, ready to combat. So, we're treating this with kid gloves until we wake up as a country and tell ourselves the bare truth. Insecurity will not leave this country until we begin to fish out those who are responsible for making this escalate. It will still be rooted deeply here.
Now, if we are talking about those who are committing the crime, we're not going to rule out those who are sponsoring them as well. Because that's where we're going to start in Nigeria.
That's the how
Yes,
do you
that's
collaborate when you don't have people?
Exactly.
There are people who are sponsored because it's brisk business.
Exactly.
Now, okay, let me summarize. Let me look at this holistically. You see a situation where a whole 100 hectares of land is harnessed, is seized, is taken from farmers who have invested so much in feeding the nation, invested so much, agricultural venture, and then all of a sudden they're stopped. Money is taken away from them in a country where we're supposed to offer them protection. They are paying to terrorists.
Okay.
I don't know if you understand.
Sure.
And then when that happens, you see a situation where the terrorists go into the village, they kidnap people, you pay ransom. Brisk business. You pay ransom today, the next day they kidnap another set of people. You pay ransom, and constantly they grow, amass a lot of weapons, and then grow an army. From 1 they become 1,000, they become 1 million. If we don't need insecurity, in the board now, it might grow to a gigantic monster. I mean, it has grown to an average monster already. I don't want it to exacerbate. I don't want it to grow more than this so that it won't consume us all.
Exactly.
That is what we should do. All hands on deck. Without those who are,
All right, thank you so very much. Insecurity, or let's just say security, is a collective responsibility. It involves everyone's. It's everyone's business. You need to secure. You need to watch out. Anything that you don't understand around your neighborhood, just like there's one that they came and whistling Amy away. If not the security agencies, by now he would have been abducted, and the news everywhere. Probably they may kill him or demand for a high ransom. But as a matter of fact, 30 persons also lost their lives. So you as a person, everyone should also work together to make sure that we handle this the situation in Nigeria, because Nigeria cannot boldly and confidently say that they are giant of Africa. No, we cannot say that. This is really a shame to Nigerian government. But they are trying, as a matter of fact, combating it. But let them put more effort, because this is lives and this is the image of Nigeria. We want to embark on a very short break. When we come back, we're going to take another story coming from the aviation sector. Stay tuned.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing. Honorable
glad to have you back. In case you're tuning in, this is Atlantic Television Network, and the program is Press Roundtable. All right, let's move on to another story. The former Director General, Bureau of Public Service Reforms, Dr. Joe Abba, has narrated how a ground engineer saved travelers on Ibom Airlines flight from a potential disaster. Narrating the experience on his X handle on Thursday, Abba said he boarded a 7 a.m. flight from Lagos to Abuja on Thursday morning, and the flight was ready to take off when the unusual happened. The popular public commentator explained that he was on the flight heading to Abuja with the co-founder and director of Budget IT, Oluseun Onibinde, when they heard a loud knock on the aircraft door. He wrote, "I boarded a 7 a.m. Ibom Airlines flight in Lagos this morning heading to Abuja. My brother was in the same flight and we had chatted briefly about work. The aircraft door was shut, phone switched off and ready for takeoff. As we were about to start taxiing, there was a loud knock on the aircraft door from outside. We all wondered what it could be. The knocking got more persistent. The flight attendant had to open the door again. As she did, a ground engineer came in, and those of us in front clearly heard him say, 'You can't go. Your landing gear is bad.' The pilot made a political announcement that they needed to perform some additional checks before takeoff and apologized for the delay. He spoke with the engineer, and a few seconds later, he announced that they are going to disembark. And he said, 'I thank God that we had the systems in place to check this and avert potential disaster, and that we have some diligent Nigerians who take their work seriously. If you are that young Nigerian engineer, God will bless you abundantly,' he said. He also urged Nigerian Civil Aviation Agency to help him identify the engineer for him to personally thank their savior. Speaking with our correspondent on Thursday morning, the Ibom Airlines spokesperson, Annie Sieneti, confirmed the development. She said, 'It is a technical thing. We were about to take off and someone called that the gear was at 40. So the next thing to do was to disembark the passengers.' Now, that's it. That's it on the stories right now. As we can see that what really happened. It happened this morning. Now, let's look at it. On Tuesday, we heard the news. The news was that Dana Airline had a crash, right? You heard it? And some time ago, it also had another crash, and that's in 2018. There was a crash that said one of the left wings, hit a fence and all of that. It resulted to loss of lives. And now, we're talking about the aviation in Nigeria, and this is Ibom. Now, the question is, if the engineer was not really at alert, something would have had another crash in Nigeria. Now, what do you think should be really done in the aviation sector? Because our lives is actually involved, and the image of Nigeria is at stake as well.
First off, I didn't hear that there was a crash with Dana Air. I knew
we did Dana, right?
Yes, I heard
that was on
that
Tuesday.
They were grounded.
It was like
right?
it was like a little, not really crash.
Okay, so first off, when Festus Keyamo was drafted to head the aviation sector as a minister, I felt, oh yeah, this was a fine gentleman, very intelligent, same discipline. And I'm saying, yes, the aviation sector will wear a new look. After the former minister, Hadi Sirika, had left with a lot of controversy about the Nigerian Air Project and all. And all of a sudden, we're beginning to hear that some of the airlines operators were failing integrity tests here and there. This is a clear testament that we seem to have painted a wine bottle with an old wine in it. Oftentimes when you hear something like this in sectors in Nigeria, whether it's aviation or school, you will observe some sort of seriousness, standard being upheld for a period of time. When it seemed to us that, hey, we have achieved standard, then from the back door, this ineptitude, this act of inefficiency comes in again. And so it runs like a vicious circle in Nigeria. Listen, if you investigate, you will see that the standards will be met in the next 6 months. So regardless of who is the minister, there's going to be a deep-seated rough. There's going to be a deep-seated mess in the aviation sector. We've not had any major incident for a very long time. That's because we felt that standards were being upheld. Then again, you can't compare the standard we have now to what we used to be. All right. And sometimes reports had it that in the past you see a plane flying Lagos to Port Harcourt, Port Harcourt to Abuja over 5 times in a day. All right.
Yes.
Now we're beginning to see standards upheld, where planes will airlift and then maybe go to Lagos and come back the next day. Those standards, and then with what's happening now, does not look to me as a loose standard. I mean, when I heard that when I saw that the aviation sector was stable to a point, I gave kudos to Festus Keyamo. Now we're seeing this. What is really happening? What went wrong?
That's the question.
The giant of Africa, which should be a beacon of standard, a beacon of light for other African countries to emulate. This might look like an isolated case in climes where serious issues are taken seriously. This will not go unpunished. Who are the operators? Ibom Air. What have they done? There should be punitive measures. There should be measures to act as, a correction to deter people who would want to go careless. Negligence of duty. There should be a penalty, so that we will know that when people default, there are penalties, heavy penalties. It will make everybody sit up. So from now on, investigation, there should be an investigation. There should be a standard met by a committee. See, we can't be paying lip service to standards when it comes to air transportation. These are standards set to gauge a nation. Its nation's standard, a nation's worth, a nation's weight in the Committee of Nations. This is ugly. This made its way into international media and will be like a laughingstock in the Committee of Nations.
Exactly. I think it's really a laughingstock, and we need to take the aviation sector very seriously. But Festus Keyamo, who is the Minister of Aviation, should really do something and make sure that we do not want to experience, we do not want to hear there is a crash, loss of lives, because these are dignitaries boarding a flight. Now, you are afraid of the bandits, you are afraid of the terrorists, you are afraid of the accidents, and then, as a matter of fact, you're also afraid of the flight.
True.
That's the point. So, where are we heading to? Are we really trying to close down Nigerians so that even the foreigners who don't want to come in?
The truth of the matter is, Nigeria is a country with over 200 million very intelligent people. A few Nigerians cannot draw us back.
Okay.
If we start making appropriate closure, appropriate manning of institutions, and then people who are knowledgeable about those institutions and not making political appointments, it will go a long way. Someone who has, with all due respect to Festus Keyamo, a very intelligent very barrister, a very intelligent solicitor, a very intelligent lawyer.
Yet
We should have plugged the aviation sector with an engineer, possibly an aeronautic engineer, who does know the workings of aviation. That is where we might be getting it wrong. You might have a very beautiful angel who is a doctor, and then overseeing the education sector, overseeing the judicial sector. That's a very fine peg in the wrong hole. So constantly, let's do the needful by always appointing people who are pegged
Yeah,
to
just like
handle it.
just like what happened some time ago in River State, where they wanted to appoint someone outside the body of NBA to head them, and there was a lot of protest. So it's always like that because yes, of course. No, we are not saying that he is not really, he cannot handle it, but we need professionalism. We're talking about professionals because if you're professionals, it's different from the services. You know, yes, definitely. Who is not a professional into that system? But that said, we don't want to overflowgate on the aviation sector. We want to say the government is trying. Festus Kiamel, who is also Minister of Aviation, you're also trying, but more work should be done. But as a matter of awareness, they want to choose such a person. They at least need an engineer who understands everything about
aviation engineer.
And yes, an aviation engineer. And as a matter of fact, this engineer should also be encouraged, like giving an award for saving lives, and also, you know.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
The engineer, engineer that alerted the passengers or alerted the pilot should be recognized, should be rewarded if that's possible, should be encouraged by all means. That will add as a booster to Nigerians to do more.
All right, okay, let's just look at something happened recently. We all know about the stories of Ganduje, and we're talking about the North Strength through some of the protesters. We are appealing to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Secretary to the Government of Federation, George Akume, to consider returning the leadership of the party to their region. Now, the agitation comes 2 days after the Forum of APC State Chairman passed a vote of confidence on Ganduje and backed him to remain as national chairman. The delegation of 37 state chairmen gave the endorsement during a solidarity visit to the national secretariat of the party. Now, the former governor had recently been slammed with a fresh suspension by a faction of the Ganduje ward in Dakwan Tofa local government area of Kano State. An action the ruling party said it was carried out by some impostors allegedly being sponsored by the state government. Now, addressing newsmen in Abuja, the protesters under the aegis of the concerned North Central APC stakeholders lamented that the continued stay of Ganduje in office was a clear violation of the zoning process in the party. Now, let's just take it from there. As you are saying, that people, they are protesting. He said it is going to go against their zoning process. Now, but you know why he was suspended? He was suspended because of misappropriation. He was suspended because of money laundering. He was not just, so they're not talking about it. They're not as in calling for the protest that I'm talking about. Now, so you understand what I'm talking about?
I do.
Now, instead of them to protest that, no, this man is not actually qualified, that they have not finished the interrogations, they have not finished the investigations. Now they're talking about the zoning process.
The thing is, when we talk about selfishness, we'll talk about what is more important to you as a person.
Exactly.
The zone.
We just have 2 minutes to go. Anyway.
The zone. Ganduje is facing a three-pronged war.
Yes.
One from his family. Remember, there's what Abdulaziz Ganduje, the eldest son.
The nephew.
Who are taking the the eldest son. That's taking him to reports of not payment of contract he did with Kano State government.
Okay.
There's also a quarrel, a war from his ward. There's a war from the state government. And to tell you how Dangote has become an endangered species, the spokesperson for Kano State All Progressive Congress, his name is Ahmad, had said that Gandose's travail is coming from the presidency. That there are anti-Ganduje transducers in the presidency.
Wow.
That is yet to be, because how do you explain this? Ganduje was suspended by ward chairman. With all due respect to ward chairman, the national can clamp down on them and say, no, this is not to be. Don't take this seriously. But they have kept quiet for Ganduje to it's not something we can
honestly we cannot exhaust it. Honestly, we cannot exhaust it because I think they should really question about his integrity as a person occupying the position, and then what we really did his antecedent.
Well, if we had time, we would have talked about his integrity and a whole lot.
But we do not have time now because 9 o'clock we shall be going into the newsroom for the Globe, the ATN Globe at 9. So this moment, I just want to thank my colleague, you. I want to thank you so very much for your wonderful contribution to the program. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. All right, my name is Angel, known as Angelic Angel, and he is Bill Cosby Jones. He's a broadcast journalist, so I just want to appreciate him for coming. You can just join us on Twitter, on our socials, on Atlantic Television Network. Please do remember to join us on the news at 9. Good evening and do stay with us.